Hi friends, today I'm going to read you chapters 11 and 12 from Mr. Lemoncello, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library. Okay, chapter 11. Eager to see what was inside the new library, the 12 essay contest winners quickly gathered behind Dr. Zinchenko. "This way, children," said the librarian. "Follow me." The crowd cheered as they marched out of the ballroom, all toting their sleeping bags and suitcases. There was more cheering, plus some hooting and hollering, when they reached the hotel lobby and went out the revolving doors into the street. The new public library, with its glistening gold dome, took up half a downtown block, its back butting up against an old-fashioned office tower. The building was a boxy fortress, 3 stories tall, with stately columns that acted like bookends, because the windowless walls had been painted to resemble a row of giant books lined up on a shelf. "It's like a majestic Greek temple," gushed Miguel. "And the world's biggest bookcase," added Sierra Russell, who had finally put away her backpack. Velvet ropes lined a path across Main Street that led to a red carpet leading up a flight of steps to the arch entryway and seriously steel, not to mention round, front door. A big Kyle had Kyle had to smile when he saw what was tethered to the railings on either side of the steps. Balloons! A big bruiser, maybe 6'4", 250 pounds, in sunglasses and a black sports coat, stood in front of the library's circular door, which had several large valve wheels like you'd see on a submarine hatch. The burly guard wore his hair in the long, ropey dreadlocks. "What's with that door?" asked Haley Daly, who, of course, had pushed her way to the front. "Looks like it came from a bank vault or something." It is the door from an old gold leaf bank's walk-in vault," said Dr. Sinchenko. "It weighs 20 tons. Akimi turned around and whispered, "My dad designed the support structure for that thing. Check out the hinges." Kyle nodded. He was impressed. "Why a vault door?" asked Kayla Corson. "Because," said Dr. Zinchenko, "one sleepy Saturday when Mr. Lemoncello was young, he was working in an old public library over on Market Street. He was so lost in his thoughts he did not hear sirens and police cars race past the library to the bank where a burglar alarm had just been activated. The doors is a reminder to us all. Our thoughts are safe when they are inside a library. Not even a bank robbery can disturb them." Miguel was nodding like crazy. He could relate. "It also helps us keep our most valuable treasures secure." "There aren't any windows?" observed Andrew. Oh, gotta do his voice. "There aren't any windows," observed Andrew Peckelman. "Probably to stop bank robbers from busting in. But shouldn't you people have added windows when you turned it into a library?" "A library doesn't need windows, Andrew. We have books, which are windows into the world we never even dreamed possible." "An open book is like an open mind," added Charles Tiltington. "That's what I always say." Dr. Zinchenko pulled out a bright red note card. "Before we enter, please listen very carefully. Your library cards are the keys to everything you will need," she read. "The library staff is here to help you find whatever it is you are looking for." She smiled slightly, tucked the card back into her pocket, turned to the security guard, and said, "Clarence, will you do the honors?" "With pleasure, Dr. Z." Clarence turned one giant wheel, spun another, and cranked a third. Noiselessly, the 20-ton door swung open. The first thing Kyle could see inside was a trickling fountain in a grand foyer of brilliant white marble. The fountain featured a life-size statue of Mr. Lemoncello standing on a lily pad in the middle of a shallow reflecting pool that was 10 feet wide. His head was tilted back so water could spurt up from his mouth in an arc. Kyle noticed a quote chiseled into the statue's pedestal. "Knowledge not shared remains unknown. Luigi L. Lemoncello." Beyond the fountain, through the arched walkway, was a huge room filled with desks. When everybody had shuffled into the entrance hall, Dr. Zinchenko turned to the security guard. "Clarence." Clarence hauled the heavy steel door shut. Kyle heard the whir of spinning wheels, the clink of grinding gears, and the reverberating clunk. "Wow," said Miguel. "Talk about a lock-in." I'll be in the control center, Dr. Z," said the security guard. "Very well, Clarence." Clarence disappeared behind a red door. "Now then, children," said the librarian, "if you will all follow me into the rotunda reading room." As the rest of the group started filing into the gigantic circular room, Kyle checked out a display case beside the red door. A sign over it said, Staff Picks, our most memorable reads. A dozen books were lined up on 4 shelves. One cover in the middle of the bottom row caught Kyle's eyes. It showed a football player wearing a number 19 jersey dropping back to hurl a pass. Kyle made a mental note of the title. In the pocket, Johnny Unitas and me. Tomorrow morning when the lock-in was over, he might use his library card to check it out for his big brother Mike. Wow! Everybody gasped as they stepped into the rotunda reading room and looked up. The entire underside of the dome looked like space as if seen from the Hubble telescope. A dusty spiral nebula billowed up, a galaxy of stars twinkled, and meteorites whizzed across the ceiling. Ooh, the space imagery on the ceiling dissolved into 10 distinct panels, each one becoming a display of swirling graphics. Those are the 10 categories of the Dewey Decimal System, whispered Miguel, sounding awestruck. See the panel with Cleopatra, the guy mountain climbing, and the Viking ship sailing across it? That's for 900 to 1999. To 999, his history of geography. Cool, said Kyle. I'm noticing when I'm looking at the cover page, like here's the vault door, and here is some of the like stars up in the top ceiling, and here's the Dewey Decimal System, the different things that they were talking about, the different sections and panels in the ceiling. Tucked beneath the 10 screens in arched nines were incredible 3D statues, glowing a ghostly green. I believe those are all holographic projections, said Andrew Peckelman, waving up at the statue that was waving down at him. The room under the dome was huge. It was circular with a round desk at the center that was surrounded by 4 rings of reading desks. Kyle saw that half the rotunda was filled with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. The other half had balconies on the second and third floors that reminded him of the open atrium of a hotel that he stayed in with his family. While everyone was gawking at the architecture, Dr. Zinchenko said the words Kyle had been waiting to hear all day. Now then, who's ready for our first game? Chapter 12. Will everybody please line up behind the far desk in the front of the children's room, said Dr. Zinchenko, gesturing toward one of the wooden tables in the outermost ring of the room. How many of you are familiar with Mr. Lemoncello's classic board game, Hurry to the Top of the Heap? 12 hands shot up in the air. Very good, said Dr. Zinchenko. Overhead, the Wonder Dome dissolved into a gigantic curved heap box top. This will be a live 3-dimensional version of the game. Each of you will be asked a trivia question. If you are able to answer it correctly, you will roll the dice and advance the equivalent number of desks. When you return to the starting point, you will move to the next concentric circle of desks. When you complete that ring, you will move to the next, and so on. If one of you makes it all the way to the desk at the center, you will be declared the winner. Yeah, but we don't have any dice, said Yasmin Smith-Snyder. Yes, you do. See that smoky glass panel in the center of the desk? It's actually a touchscreen computer currently running Mr. Lemoncello's dice rolling apps. Simply swipe and flick your fingers across the glass to toss and tumble the animated dice. Dr. Zinchenko placed a stack of red cards on her desk. She looked like the host of a TV game show. Before we begin, are there any other questions? Charles Chiltington raised his hand. Yes, Mr. Chiltington? What will the winner win? After all, the prize is the most important part of any game. Kyle didn't totally agree, but he was too excited about playing the game to say anything. Tonight's first prize, said Dr. Zinchenko, is the golden key granting the winner access to Mr. Lemoncello's private and very posh bedroom suite up on the library's 3rd floor. Instead of spending the night on the floor in a sleeping bag, you will be relaxing in a luxury with a feather bed, a 72-inch television screen, and a state-of-the-art gaming console. Okay, Kyle was definitely interested in this particular prize. Judging from the wide-open eyes and the chorus of oohs and wows all around him, so was everybody else. 6 players. Dr. Zinchenko flipped over the first question card. What Major League pitcher was the last to win at least 30 games in one season. 6 players got it wrong before Kyle got it right. Denny McLean. Correct. He swiped the glass panel, rolled a 10, and advanced 10 desks around the room. What United States Navy ship was once captured by the North Koreans? Miguel nailed that one. The USS Pueblo. He flew 12 spaces around the room. What did Apollo 8 accomplish that had never been done before? Hakimi, Andrew Peckelman, and Kayla Corson struck out on that one, but Charles Chiltington knew the answer. It was the first spacecraft to orbit the moon. Correct. Chiltington rolled a 5, landing him in last place. Kyle's next question was tougher. Who was famous for saying, "Book 'em, Dano"? That guy on Hawaii Five-0? Please be more specific. The one with the shiny hair. I think his name is Jack Lord. That is correct. Kyle breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness he and his dad sometimes watched reruns of old TV shows from the 1960s. But when he flicked the computerized dice, his luck hit a brick wall. He rolled snake eyes and moved up 2 measly desks. Meanwhile, Miguel went down with a question about Barbra Streisand. Kyle wasn't exactly sure who she was. And Charles Chiltington surged ahead with a correct answer about the Beatles. Hey Jude and double sixes roll. As the game went on, Kyle and Chiltington, the only players still standing, kept answering questions correctly and moving around the room, till they were both seated at the desk in the innermost ring, only 6 spaces away from Dr. Zinchenko's desk and victory. Kyle was seriously glad he and his mom had played so many games of Trivial Pursuit with the original, extremely old cards. Kyle, here is your next question. What song in the movie Dr. Dolittle won an Academy Award? Kyle squinted. He had that movie on an old VHS cassette tape that Mom had bought at a garage sale. Too bad they didn't have a VCR to watch it on. But even though he'd never seen the movie, he had read the front and back of the box a couple of times. Is it the song Talk to the Animals? Correct. He started breathing again. Roll the dice, please, Mr. Keeley. Kyle did. Another pair of ones. He moved up 2 spaces. Now he was only 4 desks away from winning. Mr. Chiltington, here is your next question. Who was elected president in 1968? I believe that was Richard Milhouse Nixon. You are also correct. Chiltington didn't wait for the librarian to tell him to roll the dice. He flicked his fingers across the glass pad. Yes, double sixes, again. He moved around the last ring of desks, tapping their tops, counting them off, even though everybody knew his 12 was more than good enough to carry him to the finish line. Congratulations, Mr. Chiltington. Dr. Zinchenko had said as she had handed him the key of the private suite, you are this evening's first winner. Thank you, Dr. Zinchenko. I am truly and sincerely honored. Congratulations, Charles, said Kyle. Way to win. Get used to it, Keeley, he answered in a voice that only the other kids could hear. I'm a Chiltington. We never lose.